Hello everyone, my name is Espik23 here for a KTaNE module tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at the color code module. Now the color code module is generally not considered to be popular, but it is, I guess, worth it to know because of Twitch plays where it shows up a lot. So here's what the module looks like. There are 6 different color backgrounds, which are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Same colors as these buttons on the module right here. So this module does require edge work, so I'm going to get it quickly. Looks like we have 1 battery and 1 holder, an unlit bomb and sig indicator, and plate serial, plate empty, and the serial number is Papa 26, extra uniform 1. So, for the module, we're going to look at this one. What the diffuser needs to do is give out 2 things. The first thing is the color of the module, and the number of solves to solve the module for. Generally, this module takes a while. Wow, you can barely see that, I just noticed. So, I would recommend going for 5 solves, or maybe even 10 solves in advance if you're not that confident. But in this case, since it's just me, I'm going to be doing it for 0 solves. So we have a red background. Alright. So what we need to do is find 4 digits and 3 colors. Let's find the digits. Alright, digit 1. So follow the rules in order. And use the first 2 statement as the number. So, do we have 1 battery or less? Yes, we do. We only have 1 battery. So the first digit is 3. I'm going to highlight that right there. For the second digit, we take the background color of the module and we use whatever box this applies to and use the rules here. And if you have a purple background, because there's no purple on here, use 0. Use the first 2 statement again. Since we have a red background, we're going to be looking at this box. Is there a parallel port? No, there's not. So the digit is 3. So the second digit is also 3, like the first digit. For the third digit, we're going to do some math here. We need to add 2 to the number of batteries and then multiply that number by the number of the solved modules. In this case, we don't have any solved modules when we're solving this, so this number is 0. Subtract 15 if the number of lit is more than the number of unlit indicators, which is false. Add 150 if the background's red, which it is, so we have 0 plus 150 is 150. I have a calculator in my hand right now, but I can write it down here. So we have 0, and now we have 150. Divide by 3 if the number is a multiple of 3. 150 should be a multiple of 3, and it is. Now we have 50. Double if a 0 is the first code digit, meaning if this digit is 0, then double this. In this case it's not, so we don't do anything. Multiply by 4 if 0 is the second digit, which is this. Again, no. Modulo 10, which means only take this last digit right here, which is 0. So I'm going to mark it by a star right now, because for this digit only, I can only click the digit on the module when the last digit of the countdown timer is the same as that digit. Now digit 4 is probably the least favorite part of this manual. I think of a number, I subtract the number of unlit indicators, I add the number of unsolved modules, excluding needies, and the total number of color code modules on the bottom. I find the sum of the first 3 code digits and add that on. My answer is 100. So what are we supposed to do with that? So the way that I do it, and probably you should too, is work backwards from the bottom up. So we're going to start with 100. Here. So I find the sum of the first 3 code digits and add that on. Which means that, what is the sum of the first 3 digits, which are this, this, and this? There's 6. So since that number is added to each 100, which means we have to subtract 6 from 100. And we get 94. So what this is saying is we start here and subtract all of these. Then, because the number is added again, we subtract again all of the unsolved modules and the total number of color code modules. In this case, we're going to have 5 unsolved, and we have 5 color code modules on this bomb, which means we subtract 10. We also don't have any needies. So now we have 84. Now it says I subtract the number of unlit indicators. If we're working backwards, we're adding the number of unlit indicators. We have 2 unlit indicators, now we're at 86. And 86 is the number that he's thinking of. The last digit of my number is the code digit. So, 6. Alright, now we have our 3 digits. Or 4 digits, excuse me. Now we need to color. Oh yeah, I should mention that this module is the only one besides Color Flash that uses the English version of the word color and not the American version. Typically, since I am American, I write it like this, but people write it like this. But just for the sake of consistency for me at least, I'm going to write it in the American in my notes, but feel free to get mad at me. So for now we need to find 3 colors. Similar to the second digit, we're going to take the background of the module, in this case it's red, and find the color if the rule applies. And if you notice, if the first condition is true, it's the same color as the background, otherwise it's purple. And if it is purple, then use purple. So, if you have no ports, no indicators, and no solved modules, the color is red, otherwise the color is purple. Well, we have a port and we have indicators, so that's not true. So we're going to write purple and write PUR. I usually write colors as 3 letters in my notes. For the second color, what we do is we take the rules in order from top to bottom. Look at this rule right here, and if it's true, then use the color right here. Otherwise, just keep going down until none of them apply. Use purple. Alright, so is the last digit of the serial number even? No. Is false? Go down. Is there a parallel port? No. If the number of batteries plus the sum of the digits in the serial number, modulo 10, is 5 or less. So, we have the number of batteries, 1, plus 2, plus 6, plus 1. For the 3 digits in the serial number, we get 10. Modulo 10 gives us 0. And 0 is 5 or less, so the second color is orange. Now for the third color, we're going to start with the number of unsolved modules multiplied by the number of solved modules. A little trick that I found is that if you have 0 solves, or actually yeah, if you have 0 solves, then the number is always 0, because all of these other statements involve multiplication, division, or modulo, and modulo is based on division, and if you multiply or divide anything related to 0 besides divided by 0, you're going to get 0. So we're just going to skip down here to 0, and we get orange for the third color. And don't forget him, or it, or whatever. If the code is exactly 1 0 and 1 purple, which it does actually, click submit only when the seconds digits of the timer display 04 or 40. And I've actually never had this happen before, so this is interesting. Otherwise you can just press the submit button, which is the go button in this case, at any time. So, moving top to bottom, if the condition is the right is true, then we use a digit first or color first, because even if we have 3 digits and 3 colors, what we're doing is organizing them in the order that they'll be inputted into the module. So if the condition here is true, we're going to use whatever type of input is on the left, and if it's false, we're going to go down 1. Alright. So the way I'm going to be marking this is a little bit different. If the rule is true, I'm going to be marking this over here as red, which indicates that I won't use it. And if this is false, I will mark this in blue because it means I will use it. Now what do I mean by that? Well, if we take a look at the rules here, let's say if we get to all of these conditions, but we still have inputs left over, like numbers or digits. Then we go this way, and then back up this way, to use in case we have something left. And we can't use anything from here if the rule was true. That is a terrible explanation, I know, but it'll make more sense as I'm doing it. Alright, so we're going to first look down right here. If there are more batteries than the number of the current month is September, which is 9, as you can see down here, And if we don't, there aren't any more batteries, so we're going to not use this rule. We're going to highlight this as blue because we will use that digit later. If the product of the code digits, excluding zeros, is more than the number of modules modulo 10. Well, we have 3 plus 3 plus 6. This is 12. Actually, excuse me, not sum product. 3 times 3 times 6 is 54. Is more than the number of modules modulo 10. I'm pretty sure this is almost always true because only the solves, or the modules, excuse me, are being affected by the modulo and not the actual product. And I'm pretty sure this rule will almost always show up. So in this case, we use a color first. The first color we have available in our colors is purple. So the first input is purple. Alright. Use if I'm the only color code module. Not true. We have 5 of them, as you can see. So, there. Use if it is between 3 a.m. and 4 p.m. local time. As you can see in the alarm clock, it is 11:21, which fits in that time requirement. So we're going to use this, which is another color. The second color we have is orange, so we're going to put orange. Use of the total number of modules is 101 or 81. Nope. Use is if the number of color code modules is more than the square root of half the total of number of modules. Since this bomb only consists of color code modules, this applies. Interesting, we actually use all 3 colors first. Usually we don't. You often get a digit thrown in there before you use the 3rd color. But we're going to find out the square root of half the number of modules. In this case, half the number of modules is 2.5 because you have 5 modules, and the square root of 2.5 is 1.5. So, well, not exactly 1.5, but I would just round it. Actually, more 1.6. But it doesn't matter since you can only count modules in whole numbers. Alright. And use if there are 3 letters in the serial number. I mean, this rule doesn't matter since we only have digits left anyway. But let's say if we were to keep going. Use if there are 3 letters in the serial number. Yes, there are, so we use the digit there. First digit is 3. Now, we go back up. Since this rule is true, we can't use the digit. Since this rule is true, we can't use the color. That rule is false, so we can use the next digit, so 3. We keep going up, and we get 0 and 6. So now, we put it into the module. For 0 solves, purple, orange, orange, 3, 3, and for 0, this will always be with the 3rd digit, and it might be nice for the user to know this, is I can only press 0 when the last digit of the timer right here is a 0. And 6. And because we had this special rule, I can only submit when the second digits either display 0, 4, or 40. The next one coming up is 0, 4, so we're going to do that. And that's a solved module. It was quite a lot, wasn't it? We're going to be doing another one, and hopefully we get something different results. I look at this one first, actually. So we're going to do this one. Same as work. I'll write on my digit and color, like I did before. Digit 1, same thing as before. Since the edge work is the same, we're going to be doing 3 because the number of batteries is 1 or less. Alright. So now the following statements below, we have a yellow background, so we look here. If the sum of the number of unsolved color code and planets modules is more than the sum of the number of solved color codes and planets modules, the digit is 7. Planets is another module, but this bomb only consists of color code modules, and we do have more unsolved color code than solved color code, so we use 7 for the second digit. Digit 3, same thing as before, we're going to add 2 to the number of batteries. We get 3 and multiply it by the number of solves. We only have 1 solve right now, so the first part of the digit is 3. Subtract 15 if the number of lit is more than the number of unlit indicators. Nope. Add 150 if the background of the module is red. Nope. Divide 3 if it's a multiple of 3. 3 is a multiple of 3, so we get 1. Double if a 0 is the first code digit. Nope. Multiply by 4. If the 0 is the second code digit. Nope. Modulo 10. And absolute value. In case the absolute value basically means to if it's negative, multiply by -1. And this is the third digit, so we look at this rule, so we mark it with an asterisk. Digit 4. We're going to start with 100, like we did last time. We find the sum of the first 3 digits, which is 3 plus 7 plus 1, which in this case, 3 plus 7 plus 1 should be 11. So we have 100 minus 11, we get 89. I'm going to write it down here. In this case, we subtract the number of unsolved, which is 4, and the total number of color code models on the bottom, which is 5, so we subtract 9, we get 80. And we add the number of unlit, so 2, we get 82. That's the number, and the last digit is the digit, so 2. Alright, for colors, the background's yellow. If the number of unlit is 1, and the last digit serial number is odd, well, the last digit of the serial number is odd. However, we actually have 2 unlit indicators instead of 1 unlit indicator. So the first color is purple. For the second color, is the last digit of the serial number even? No. Is there a parallel port? No. The number of batteries plus the sum of the digits of the serial number modulo 10 is 5 or less. We already checked this last time and it was true. But in case we are going to check it again, because it doesn't hurt. So batteries plus 2 plus 6 plus 1 is 10. Modulo 10 is 0, and that is 5 or less. For the third color, we're going to start with the number of unsolved modules, multiply with the number of solved modules. We have 4 unsolved and 1 solved. So we have 4 times 1, which is 4. Divide by 3 if it's a multiple of 3. We don't. Modulo 10. Because this number is less than 10, we don't do anything. Multiply by 2, the first color of the code is purple. It is, we have 8. Multiply by 4 if the second color is purple. It's not. Modulo 10 again. Multiply by the number of batteries, which is 1. Modulo 6, so 8 modulo 6 is 2. So we use red, which we turn this into a color based on this table, like before. So we have red. Now, this rule doesn't apply because we don't have a 0 in the digits, so we can press the go button anytime to submit. Now for this again. If there are more batteries than in the current month, nope. If the use of the product of the code digits, 3 times 7 times 1 times 2, is 42. It is more than the number of modules, modulo 10. That is true. So we start with the first color, which is purple. Use if I'm the only color code module? Nope. Use between 3 a.m. and 4 p.m.? Yep. So the second color, orange. Use of the number of modules is 101 or 81? Nope. Use of the number of color code modules, we already checked this before, so we actually use all 3 colors first again. Well, let's say if we didn't use this. I'm gonna write this down later. Let's say if this rule didn't apply. We're going to keep going on as if it didn't apply. So let's say we go to the next one. Use that there are 3 letters in the serial number, which there are, so we use the digit, which is 1, which is actually 3, excuse me. So now we go bottom to top on the left side. Because this rule is true, we don't use the digit. Now because this rule is false, we would use the color, which would be red. Now we have digit, 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 so we can just write out the rest of the digits. Now remember I said that this rule was actually true, so the actual solution to this would be this. But let's say if this was false, and because this is true, the answer would instead be this. Because we're going from bottom to top on the right to top to bottom on the right and then bottom to top on the left, with the opposite condition of the rule to the right. So now we have submit this. We have purple, orange, red, 3, 7, and 1, and 2. And we can submit anytime. As you can see, we have another solved module. So, about this manual, it is very confusing, and it's not the most well written, and it has a lot of puzzles in it itself in the manual. That should definitely not belong in the manual, but okay, whatever. That's why this module is not as popular, and it's very incredibly solve dependent, similar to laundry in some way. So If you see this on the bomb, generally make sure you give out a decent amount of time in advance. It took me 10 minutes for a module to explain, but that can easily be shortened to like 1 or 2 minutes if you're good enough. But sometimes, if you're not as confident, it can take like 5 minutes. So definitely prepare this for like 5 or 10 solves in advance to give them time to double check as well. So anyway, that's pretty much everything I have to say about this module. So thank you guys for watching this tutorial, and as always, keep talking and don't.